What up, boys and girls? Hope you're doing all right. Earlier in the week, I kicked off a discussion on good old Reddit that got a lot of really good participation, lots of good feedback on it. I want to share it here to get your take and just make you aware of it, right? It goes something like this. It was a look at how the tasks about the tasks in Escape from Tarkov, and how it could be really interesting if they introduce tasks that help unify the player base rather than keep with tasks that kind of keep it all fragmented. Let me unpack it a bit, let you know what I'm talking about. So this kind of came from a common pain point I've heard from a lot of players who have kind of drifted away from Tarkov, either recently or a while back, right? Just talking to them about why they're not playing, what's going on. I kind of found a common thread. And one of these, I'm kind of, what I would maybe categorize it as, kind of like this, called a brain drain, right? That happens as it relates to tasking, right, in the game. So let's see how this, let me give you a little visual and see if this makes any sense. So it kind of looks like this. Let's say, man, let's fire up some Tarkov and ready to play. So you get your friends together, hop on Discord, whatever. You get into the game, and invariably what happens? You say, depending on the level of everybody playing, it's kind of like, okay, so what do you guys want to do? And then it's like crickets. While everyone sits there, scrolls through their 15 or 20 tasks they have, right? This huge task listing, right? And it kind of goes like this. One guy's like, I got some stuff I need to do on factory. Nobody's like, well, I got some stuff I need to do on interchange. Somebody else. Well, I need to go to shoreline and find, whatever. And somebody else is like, yeah, I don't really like the task I have right now, but I do have a daily to go pick up screwdrivers, right? So already, they kind of have this weird juggling match they have to play, where it's like, just to play the game, they have to kind of prioritize this stuff. So they haven't even loaded in the raid yet, and yet they already kind of feel this, I'm kind of exaggerating it a little bit, but they already feel this mental churn and burn, right, to even figure this out, right? So it's like, okay, so one guy's like, oh, did someone say factory? Man, I hate factory. Man, I'll do it maybe like once or twice to just knock it out, but man, I really want to get on Lighthouse. That's where all the cool stuff's at. Or maybe it's like, somebody's like, okay, well, I only have time for maybe 1 or 2 raids, and my stuff's on interchange. Would you mind if we do interchange, right? So everybody is like, okay, cool, then we'll do interchange, right? And which, for the most part, could be okay. It's like, okay, that's what a squad does, right? They go and help out each other. It's not always about, to help. It's not always about them. Sometimes I got to sacrifice, right? But that's where it becomes interesting, is you have, let's just take the situation. You got one person, let's say, who needs to go to interchange. And you have the remaining 4 players couldn't care less about interchange. They have nothing to do, right? Absolutely nothing they can accomplish on interchange. Aside from maybe a screwdriver guy, right? He could find some screwdrivers and toolboxes. But what you've got then is you've got one guy fully invested, getting this done, with 4 who are kind of what I'm calling tag-alongs, right? They're just kind of there along for the ride. Now, these 4 people, kind of the cool things about Tarkov is they can make their own game, right, out of this. They could go in and kind of do their own. They could go off and do their own thing. They could just say, hey, I know you want to do interchange. We don't really want to do interchange. We want to go to Lighthouse, so we'll go do a Lighthouse run for a little bit and let us know when you come back. Maybe John will go with you interchange, but we'll link up afterwards, right? That's one possibility. Another thing they could do is they could all agree to go into interchange, but the other 4 people could kind of make some type of a personal goal for themselves, right? Okay, we'll go to interchange. It's not going to count. It's not going to give me any XP or any type of reward, but aside from other stuff, but I'm going to try to kill 5 scavs, or I'm going to try to, I'm going to go looking for killer, or I'm going to go bring the Kibba keys and we'll try to get into Kibba, right? All these different kind of other tasks they could do. They could also kind of provide support. So let's say the guy on interchange is like, hey, I need to go plant the camera, right? So the other four players are like, hey, sweet, we'll give you some protection. They go deck to the teeth, right? And they're like, okay, let's do this. And they do. They secure a perimeter. They knock it all out so he can go and plant the camera. That's always fun. We do that a lot too. But what kind of becomes interesting is sometimes, depending on like where the group sits on their tasks, sometimes it's just kind of just like, hey, we got stuff everywhere. What a mess. Let's just forget tasks for a while. Let's just all go in the Lighthouse and just punk on the rogues, right? Let's go have some fun. But like, yay, let's do that, right? And I guess that's kind of the interesting deal here is there's a trade-off that happens, right, with Tarkov's tasks. Because they are so, let's call them self-centered, or they're like single-player driven, right, like egocentric, whatever word you want to use for it. But it's kind of like, hey, if we got to go plant a camera, it's not we have to plant the camera. As far as like formally from the game, it's one guy has to plant the camera. So kind of what happens here is, is you have someone, they go to plant this camera, right? And then, dadgummit, the guy gets taken out right at the beginning. The guy that needed to go to interchange, right? Poof, he's dead. And everybody's kind of like, poof, you kidding me? He's dead? Well, we don't have any reason to be here. Let's just get the heck out of here then, right? So let's just dump his gear in a bush and let's get out. Or maybe it's dump his gear in a bush, we'll get out so we can try again, right? With our buddy while he has time to go in again, help him get this done. Or it's let's dump in the bush. Okay, buddy, we gave you your shot. Next raid, let's go over here. And he's like, okay, fine. Thanks for giving me a shot. I'll go with you to the next place, right? But what I'm trying to point out is that all of those are kind of like this like zero-sum game, right? It's like a decision people have to make, an either-or, right? All these selfish interests that, unless they overlap because they have, common goals or things they can do on the same map, that they want to do on the same map, it's like, yeah, it's just kind of... So what I'm trying to do is how can we give something to where squads actually work together like a squad would actually do? Now you could say, well, players should do it, but they can't, right? He's dead. No one else can plant that camera, right? And it's kind of like, okay, so is this the best we can do, right? Is this the best type of a task system, or is this the only type of task we can think of for Tarkov? So here's some ideas we're going to go through, we're going to look at. Would be what I'm going to call global tasks. We'll have shared incentives. We have what I'm going to call support points, and then a fourth one that I'm just kind of leaving open for grabs, right? I'm calling what else, right, for you guys to pitch in. So it kind of goes like this. One would be, and again, this kind of depends on where players are in their journey through Tarkov. Some are at mid to late game, and they're like, hey, I have nothing better to do but just shoot, PvP and loot and get the high juicy loots. I don't care. If my buddy needs to have some help, I'll go help him. Why not, right? Whereas if it's the earlier wipe and you have people who are, again, kind of together, that they do, man, I'm really focused on getting to level 15 to unlock the flea, or I'm really interested on, leveling up this trader so I can whatever, right? When you have people with a more vested interest in where they want to go, that's kind of where I find this clash can happen too, right? So global tasks could be something like picture, again, maybe it's, just think of it as something to spice things up, right? This could be a task that's on a map that applies to all players. So think of it as kind of like the events we have now where it's like, hey, Tequila's on factory, or, Tequila's on interchange, and, raiders are here, and then they have a meetup, or all these different events we've seen happen. That kind of helps spice things up a little bit. But those only take the game so far, right? So a global task would be an event, a purpose, a mission that applies to a map, right? That everybody can partake in, yeah? And there's bonuses, there's XPs, there's missions, there's objectives, right? That everyone's trying to do. So it's kind of like, man, have you played Customs? No, what's up with Customs? Dude, it is awesome. They have this special event going on where it's not just the spawning of raiders or something, but it's an actual kind of cohesive mission for the map. Maybe it's King of the Hill in a certain area. Maybe it's taking and delivering. Maybe people fight for resources and then they go and deliver them in certain places, right? That was one idea. There's, some of these can get kind of gamey if you think about it, but I'm sure some of these ideas could be spun in a certain, redone in a certain for a context that fits kind of Tarkov's realistic type thing, right? That could be really cool. One of the big ones too would be shared incentives. The second one was shared incentives, and I think this for me this was kind of one of the bigger ones as far as this tapping into this idea of someone's like, I've been third party. I've been kind of like the third wheel on this dude's helping out with these interchange runs for the last 3 or 4 raids, and I've got nothing to do on interchange. Now, yes, go back to the things earlier. I could make my own fun. I could tag along. I could just be there to be there. I could do my whatevers. That all applies. They could still do that. But it's this idea of why does it have to be that way, right? Could it not be some type of shared incentive where it's like, hey, if you go and you participate in a group task, or if you help someone with complete a mission, right? Let's say maybe there's a way to sign on, like, hey, someone needs to go do whatever, and the other players say, hey, I agree, I agree, I agree. Okay, so if you guys can get this done with him, there's some benefits for you, right? Not just for the fun of the game, but there's some actual built-in incentives and payouts for that, right? So, and the idea here is to tap into this. Again, the whole group idea. I mean, picture the movie, right? Picture a movie where it's like, I said this earlier, but it's the same thing. You go in, someone needs to go plant a camera. Right out of the gates, early on, poof, he's dead. It's like, well, crap, he's dead. Who cares? We don't care. Let's get, who cares, right? We don't want to be here. Let's do something else. Whereas, how anticlimactic is that, right? In my mind, it'd be so much cooler if it's like, we need to plant this camera. Or whatever the mission is, right? If it's a certain different type of mission or something. But this idea of, hey, we all signed on to this. We need to see it through. So, yeah, he's got the camera. Go loot it off his body, and we need to go get this thing done, right? Maybe there's bonuses for when they add carrying or dragging in or something. You can see that, unconscious states. Where, hey, if we can bring his body out, we get bonuses. Or, hey, if we take it, instead of dumping his gear for insurance fraud, if we carry his gear out with it, we get certain bonuses for that, right? Again, these really cool ingredients that could be tossed in there, right? The other is kind of a weird one that may or may not work is this idea of, I call them support points for lack of a better term, but it's kind of like this. Think of it as a way to earn, let's call them like points or credits or something that can be spent toward the personal tasks. So what I mean by this is, let's say, again, you've been a third party, you've third wheeled multiple runs on shoreline, hitting up the resort, even though you have nothing to do there, but man, you've sure tagged along and helped, right? Maybe there are certain things that say, hey, if you did this, if you did that, certain way to accumulate a certain number, let's call them, again, support points, that the player can then go back and spend toward the completion of other tasks that he has, right? So again, the idea being the players don't feel like it's like, again, a zero-sum game where either I'm helping someone else or I'm doing something for me, right? This idea of, hey, I can help someone else. And you know what? Hey, if I go in there decked to the teeth and I help somebody plant a camera or accomplish a mission for him, that I get rewarded in some way. I get compensated in some way. It's not just a lost cause beyond just, the fun of it. It's, yeah, cool. These points I got help me pay off, let's say, this other mission I'm trying to do, right? For myself. That could be something. There could even be something, let's say there's what we want to, if we go look at something like that, something concern I would have with that is we want to avoid the potential of, let's say, just again, free carries, right? Where it's like, hey, you need to get the let's just say Proper's watch, right? It's a squad task we all sign up for. We're going to help you. We chime in, we help you with it, right? But don't worry, you don't have to get the watch. You just started out, just go in with a pistol. We'll go fully decked out. We'll get the watch for you. We'll plant the whatever. We'll do all the stuff, right? So here's all this, the huge tanks doing all the work, and Timmy gets to reap all the rewards. And it's kind of like, hey, that's not cool. It's not in the spirit of Tarkov. That guy needs to be kind of pulling his own weight to some extent. And I agree that's something you kind of got to watch out for. And so there could be, in this type of scenario, there could be certain missions, yeah, okay, you can't pay off the mission to go to customs and do whatever. That one, no, you still need to go do it, right? The game still needs to have an incentive for players to go explore and actually do certain things. Okay, so what if the points apply something differently? Instead of paying it off, what if they boost it, right? Or what if they allow certain triggers to happen on the map, right? So it's kind of picture something like this. Okay, getting the watch on, use that example, but let's just say getting the watch on customs this late in the white, man, that's kind of a boring raid. You're gonna make us not do a 40-minute awesome run on Lighthouse. We're gonna go with the accustomed to this boring thing. What if you spend these support points to kind of boost that mission? Or maybe it's like, depending on who signs on to help, it changes certain things. So maybe the mission becomes harder, right? I could see it now, a little radio message from Proper or something. It's like, hey, watch out, Twinkle Toes. Words on the street that you're looking for that, you're bringing some big guns out with you. Words getting out, you're going for that watch. Watch out, right? And that's going to bring in some extra little things. That could be really cool. maybe there's a way he could pay up, again, use those points to boost the reward or something, right? To where it's like, hey, if we do it, it'll be harder, and because I've paid up, I've unlocked certain, let's say, extra missions that pay out more to make it, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but you can think of this way of, again, making it to where, the goal being, how do we make kind of repeat tasks, give players an incentive and a desire to pitch in for repeat tasks. Like, hey, I'll do that again. Why? Because it's going to be freaking awesome, right? It's not going to be a snooze fest. And I realize the emergent nature of Tarkov is so beautiful that you don't know what. I understand that. Don't say I'm knocking that. I'm just saying a way to make it a hot zone, right? In some ways, or make it a very big interest where it's like, sweet, whatever the mission is, whatever we're tagging along with, man, this makes it cool. This makes it fun. So the other idea that came off this would be support points that were kind of like categorized in some ways. Maybe it's where it's like, hey, if you want stuff you can spend with the rapist, you got to do like medically type things while you're on a group mission or something, while you're helping someone. Maybe you have to do some healing. Maybe you have to do, if they add buddy healing in, you got to help your team, and that's how you get points that you can spend with the rapist. Maybe if maybe violence and action type stuff helps go toward mechanic. I mean, just thinking of ideas here. You could think of these ways where if players want to be able to have certain points they can spend with certain traders in their tasks or whatever, their rewards or something, they have to do a certain style of play or a certain whatever. That could be really cool. Another thing that kind of came up in these talks is the idea of kind of gating the gear that's involved, right? So if you picture, there are certain missions where it's like, hey, if you go deck to the teeth, loaded to the hilt, it's like, that's kind of a walk in the park. But what if some of these missions say, hey, you can do it, but this cool group mission we have, this raid mission for a squad, sounds easy, but with a catch on this one. This squad mission that you sign up for, you can only you load in with a pistol and 3 extra magazines and, a level 2 vest and no helmet, right? And maybe this idea became you could like daisy chain these together as like a mini quest line, right? Where it's like you complete the first one if you succeed if your squad succeeds, cool, you advance to the next one. And the next one lets you use a different set of gear, right? Then you advance to the next one, and maybe as you move up the food chain, let's call it, not only do the tasks and missions become more difficult and more involved, but maybe they start allowing different types of gear and different types of ammo, right? Okay, now that you're on the level 4 mission, okay, sweet, you made it this far, well, guess what? Now you get to bring out the big guns, now you get to bring out whatever, right? That could be pretty cool. And you can see it to where maybe it goes through and kind of like filters out. If you say, yes, we want to do this, and again, just to backtrack a little bit, the idea of this is to make Tarkov a more approachable thing of sit down and play, right? This can be a fun, awesome experience without the brain drain of juggling all this stuff. It can be 5 guys sit down, sweet, let's knock out some Tarkov. They sit down, here's a mission we can do right now. You don't have to worry about anything, just click and go, right? And it could be something like, maybe it shows the player, for this mission, here are the 3 gear sets that are allowed, right? Again, I'm thinking ahead a little bit when they add gear presets, which is a thing that's coming. They could apply that same type of idea with, hey, here's different, let's say cards or whatever. Here's different gear sets that are approved for this to be used for this mission. Take your pick, 1, 2, or 3, right? These could be gear sets that are purchased from the trader, right? That are purchased outright, or they could be ones that are cobbled together from the player's own stash, right? Another cool idea that came from this would be if you picture a clan type system or a clan system that they've hinted at. This could be baked in that way, where players could, that could be kind of fun. Picture this. You could have players kind of donate. Here's the tier of gear or certain types of whatever that could be allowed for this. And the players in the clan or the squad donate gear sets to that task, to that mission. And then what could be kind of fun is you hit play, and then maybe it's a grab bag, right? So you all spawn in with the gear that's been donated, the approved gear sets donated, and then you go in and, oh, I got the whatever, oh sweet, I got the Vector, oh, I got the awesome helmet, this again, a thing to spice it up a little bit, to make it very, very engrossing and very appealing, but still retain that magic that makes Tarkov, right? just to prolong that kind of new car smell a bit more, right? To keep it engaged. Let's see. I'm kind of reading through this a little bit here. I mean, it's a huge thread, and I encourage you, if you like this kind of stuff, if you don't mind reading, to go through it. I can't cover it. I'd be here all day going through. They had some awesome ideas, and I'll point out everybody's names here at the end. But just awesome ideas, right? Really, really good stuff. Let me see a little bit here. Now, some of the criticisms of this would be that I heard that's interesting is you hear some people, or just critiques, right? Just some feedback. Would be, it's kind of like some people really, really liked it, just riffed off of it, had some really cool stuff. Some people that had some concerns. Some of the big ones was it's kind of like, yeah, why do you have to have the game tell you this stuff, right? Like, get good, scrub. Like, hey, you must not really like Tarkov then if you have to have it hold your hand and tell you what to do in order to have fun. It's like, to those people, it's like, I hear what you're saying. I know what you're coming from. I'm just saying, I'm not that guy, right? Again, I'm a guy, I don't mind. I don't mind being the guy that tags along, does all that stuff. All those things I mentioned as like options, we do all that as a squad. We love doing that. A new player comes in, hey, we love to help you, we'll help you out, let's go. We love to do that support stuff. But I'm saying I've seen it play out from both ends, right? I've seen it play out to where the flip side is true. The guy that comes in that's somewhat new, and this is the honest truth, I know multiple people, several people, who have quit playing Tarkov for this reason, because they feel like they're so far behind, right? They don't want to be like a drag. They feel like they're kind of like a drag on the whole thing, right? Hey, I know you guys are having fun doing full sins and night vision, all that kind of stuff on these awesome maps, but would you mind going in with me daytime on whatever, and doing this dumb little quest? Even if, and we are as a group, we're very supportive. Hey, yeah, heck yeah, let's do this. That's still for them. For them, they feel that it makes them just feel like they're a drag on it. They feel like they're like a distraction, right? It's like, hey, I'm sorry to have you help me out all the time. I wish I could stand on my own 2 feet, right? But I would like to play with you guys, but I feel like I'm just kind of detracting from your enjoyment of the game. And no matter how much we kind of tell them, no, you're not. That's still kind of the back of their head, right? And I guess that's what I'm saying is that, in my mind, it's a win-win. If something could be done that alleviates, whatever you want to call it, a pressure, anxiety, whatever it is, right? It's kind of goofy for certain people, not goofy, that's the wrong word to say. It's different for different people. What I'm saying is if it can smooth that out to where they don't feel like, hey, sorry, we got to go back for help me get past the first 5, proper missions or whatever. If that could be something to where he knows, he's confident that, man, we can, because of these extra mechanics in the game, these extra ways that tasks are done, it's like, man, this is cool. Every mission can be, every mission can be cool, and it can be something fun and engaging for everyone. I don't feel bad offering it because, man, guess what? I have points, I can boost it. I've got this, I can do it. It changes the dynamics or the play or whatever it is, right? Maybe I come in and, again, we can go in, I can squad up with them on a squad mission that is really fun for everybody, right? Because I've seen that too where it does happen. We're at the point where, hey, we're far enough along, we want to do lighthouse runs or labs runs or whatever runs, right? And these people who are new are like, well, I can for so long until after I die again, or I have some. They see their stash just dwindling away, and they're like, I don't have the good armor, I don't have the good gear yet, and I feel like I'm just throwing it away, right? What little I do have, I feel like I'm throwing it away just to kind of keep up with the Joneses and have some fun with them, right? Otherwise, I'm playing by myself, right? And that's one of the things too. Some of the people there, and I'm part of that crowd too, is they say, hey, but what about the solo players, right? I didn't get much follow-up from those people who said that, so I was trying to feel them out. Well, what comes to mind for you? I didn't get much feedback, so I'm just kind of speculating here. I'm assuming their big thing was about progress, right? If squad play and group play becomes a lot more approachable and a lot more enjoyable, right? They're like, well, hey, what prevents the solo player from being left in the dust, so to speak, right? And I think that could be interesting where you could think of this idea of, I forget who it was, I apologize. I apologize. Someone was mentioning this thing of having map triggers or something, right? Where it could be certain things where, let's say, let's say certain missions could be like, hey, you have to befriend another squad, or hey, you have to befriend another solo player. And we're going to mark, I'm just spitballing here. It could be a bad idea, but I'm just thinking out loud. It could be something where it's like, hey, marked on your map is where a solo player is spawning in, and he's agreed to help with this, he agreed to help with this task or this mission. He wants to have someone help him out. Or maybe it's like a rendezvous point. Hey, meet at the top of the hill, right, to squad up and work together, right? Because with VoIP, with all the stuff that's coming online now, I could see that being a really, really cool thing. You could see it to where maybe there are certain missions, go take over the fortress, right? And then defend it from, whatever, waves of scavs or raiders for the next, 5-10 minutes or something. You could just think of all these cool things that come on board, right? So that's kind of it. That's kind of, what do you think of? What comes to mind for you? Do you like this idea? Do you not like the idea? What are some ways we could improve the idea further? Is this a pain point that you felt within your group to some extent, right? So anyway, that's kind of it for this. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking around. Sorry I was a little bit long-winded here and there, but again, I just encourage you, if you like this kind of stuff, go through and read that thread. A lot of cool stuff. I'll still comment and participate in there. So if you have some ideas, throw it in the comments here on the video or throw it in there on the subreddit, and we'll knock it out. So thanks for watching. Adios.